We here at Carousel of Douglas believe that if Disney World made these small changes, it would have huge gains for the guests. Check them out. And welcome back to the Carousel of Douglas. We're really glad to have you with us here today. Today's video is kind of an interesting one. I've seen a lot of those videos out there like, oh, Disney World needs to change all these things, and if they changed all these things, it'd be so much better. That's not really what we're here for today. What we're here to talk about today are small little changes that we think would have a massive effect on the guest experience at Walt Disney World. We really don't think that it's going to take that much effort on Disney to do any of these things, but we want to see what your thoughts are. So after you're done listening, please make sure you make a comment down below telling us which things you think, small things, you think would affect your guest experience. But we're going to get started. So here we go. Okay, the very first small change that we think would make a huge difference to the guest experience is actually bringing back the 180-day dining reservations. Look, I understand why in California the 60-day thing was the way that they've always done it there. It's a much smaller park, it has less restaurants, it's more locals who eat more quick service food, and so it works better at a 60-day reservation window. When they came back post-closure and they made the decision to switch it to 60 days, I gotta tell you, it was like, oh man, I'm a planner. I love planning my Disney trip. That 180-day mark was so much less hectic. Now I feel like I have to fight everybody for those things because so many more people go to Disney World and there's so many more people trying to get those reservations, and those hard to get reservations are such a pain. 180 days out, you didn't have as many people going for it because a lot of people are like, I'm not planning that far away. I am. But the 180-day reservation thing made planners like me not have to like panic click trying to get our reservations. We didn't have to get up at 5:45 in the morning just to get the reservations that we wanted. We could easily go and do it. Look, I also have to know that I have a friend who lives out in the Pacific Northwest, and when she has to do it, she has to get up at like 2:45 in the morning. It's like, yeah, pass. I want to be able to plan my trip in advance, but 60 days just feels like I have to fight everybody for it. So I would ask that the 180-day reservation comes back, because then I feel like the reservations didn't fill up as quickly either. You had time to think about it. And if you wanted it, you can go, hey, I'd like to go to this restaurant. So that's just one thing. Now, tied into that is actually the fact that there's a couple restaurants that have switched to Prixe Fixe menus, and one of them is Be Our Guest, and the other one is California Grill. Now, a couple other places have Prixe Fixe menus too, but those two specifically did it for a reason. I gotta admit, I understand the reasoning, but there's an easier way around it. So, California Grill and Be Our Guest both have Prixe Fixe menus because basically what people were doing was they would come to the restaurant, just buy the gray stuff, and then sit there for hours taking up tables. And with that place being so popular, that was really bothering Disney because now, one, they're not making money, and two, the people who are doing that just kind of ruin the experience. It's the same thing in California Grill. If you had bought something in California Grill, you could come back later and watch the fireworks from the top of the Contemporary Resort. That was an awesome feature, but people started abusing it. And it really came from, I'm not going to say which social media it came from, but it really came from people going, check out this Disney hack, and just ruining it for everybody. Now, Michelle had a great idea. Michelle actually said that what would probably benefit us is if instead of doing the Prixe Fixe menu, they basically say, hey, if you don't buy an entree, if you just buy a dessert, we're going to charge you for the cheapest entree. I think having that up front would make people go, oh, you have to buy an entree, or you have to buy enough that would be the equivalent of an entree, so that it makes it worth Disney's time, and you also are benefiting the fact that you're using the table for a real reason instead of just trying to get that special perk of sitting in the dining room, watching the Beast walk through and seeing how the snow fall in the background, or to see the fireworks from the top of the Contemporary. Look, we understand why people did it. It made it cheaper, but because people were doing that so much, it ruined the experience for the rest of us, because now it's Prixe Fixe menu only to prevent that. And now you have to buy the expensive meal in order to go. So, look, I think those two things right there would make a major change, and it's an easy fix. It's a small thing, and it would benefit everybody. So, those are our first thing that has to do with food. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about is a little on the controversial side. This is a small change that I think would benefit people. It would actually benefit me, I have to be honest, but it would benefit a lot of people. And it would actually, in the end, I believe it would benefit Disney. And that is that DVC members get perks based on where they bought their DVC membership from. I am a reseller. I purchased my DVC on resale. I got my DVC for basically nothing. I got 200 points. I use them all the time. I'm very glad that I have them, and that should be enough. And it really is. I have a place to stay until, forever, and I will always have that money being saved for me. Now, I understand where the DVC full members are coming from. I really do. They paid full price, they get the full perks. But the thing is, though, this is a little different. This is a DVC contract. You're buying into the DVC timeshare, the Disney Vacation Club timeshare. Yes, it's a timeshare, just without the sleaze, don't worry. There's plenty of great channels out there. Oh, speaking of which, good friend of mine runs a great channel called The Magic and the Music. If you have any DVC questions, you go check it out. Actually, the funny thing is, I'm wearing the shirt that she sells in her store. I bought this. I'm not sponsored. I paid for this shirt, but I think that this shirt's great. She designed this herself, and I just want you guys to know that Magic and the Music, go check her channel out. I'll put a link down in the down below. But the main thing I want to talk about with this full member perks is that if you're a full member, it means that you bought a specific amount of points from Disney. Currently, it's 150. There's some people grandfathered in with less, but it's the amount of points you bought from Disney. And there's perks that you get. You get to go to the member magic nights. You get to go to the lounges. There's one above Journey to Imagination, and there's one at the top of Bay Lake Tower. And there's some discounts that you get. You can get the Sorcerer's Pass because you're technically a Florida resident. And all of those things, I am not allowed to get as a resale member. And I feel that in the end, if Disney were to just allow all the DVC members to have all the perks, they would actually end up making more money, because that would prompt the DVC resale members to buy more stuff and to do more things and to show up more often. And I really do think in the end that it would actually benefit Disney financially. Now, I understand why the DVC full members are like, no, that's not cool. Yes, they paid full price, and I get that. I'm not downplaying that. I'm just simply saying that if all the members received the same perks, I think in the end, Disney would make more money. For our next thing, and kind of going along with Disney will make more money, is the return of package pickup and package drop-off. I don't understand why that went away. Now, I do sort of. During the closure and when they came back open, they stopped for health and sanitary reasons doing the package drop off at the hotel. And what I mean is, you could go into any shop, and if you were staying on a Disney resort property, you could have that item that you purchased in the store sent to your hotel's gift shop where you could pick it up. Now, there was a time limit and you couldn't be checking out in a certain period of time, but you could send it. Now, you could also have the packages sent to the front of the park to wait for you. They have stopped this since reopening. I don't know why it's not back. I have to be honest, it was one of the greatest things they could have ever done for selling stuff. I bought more things when I didn't have to carry it in the park with me. That's simple. I bought more things when I didn't have to carry it in the park. My wife feels exactly the same way. Michelle actually was like, I would buy more stuff if I didn't have to carry it all day. And that's it. The package delivery, package pickup at the front of the park or at your hotel was such an amazing benefit. And bringing that back, Disney, you will sell so much more stuff. I'll be happier because I bought more stuff, and everyone's happy. Bring it back, please. Okay, the next small thing that I think that would enhance the guest experience is bringing back all of the parking trams. Currently, they have the parking tram running at MagicKingdom, at the TTC, and they also have the parking tram running at Animal Kingdom. For some reason, though, they haven't brought it back to Hollywood Studios or Epcot, and both of those lots are huge, and everyone has to walk from their car to the park. And a lot of people are now entering the park grumpy because they're hot and sweaty because they just walked from their car across a blacktop and they didn't have the excellent experience of that awesome parking tram, which is technically the first ride of the day, if you really think about it. First ride of the day. It's the parking tram. Woohoo! I think that the parking trams would be a big thing. Oftentimes those parking lots are actually really hot because they're all blacktop. And speaking of really hot, another addition that would be great is at Animal Kingdom for the waiting area where you pick up the parking tram, put a cover over that, get some shade. It is on top of cement right next to blacktop. Oh my goodness, is that spot so hot in the summertime. But I digress. Anyway, I don't really understand why the parking trams haven't come back everywhere, because they've come back in some places. So having them everywhere would actually really enhance the guest experience, and I think it would be a minimal change on Disney's part. Now, I'm not saying for this next thing that anything should go away, but I would like some stuff to come back. One of the things that I absolutely love about Epcot, from when I was a little boy up and even through to today, and I still think about it, was what was called edutainment. That was educational entertainment, which they called edutainment. I'll give you an example of it in the park right now. Living with the Land. Fantastic ride. You go through those greenhouses, you learn all kinds of great stuff. Edutainment, right there. That was a lot of fun while you learned stuff. That used to be how pretty much all of Epcot was. It was edutainment. I do not have a problem with the intellectual property being in the parks. I'm gonna say that. I'm not saying take any of that out. I know some people are like, it shouldn't be there. Be quiet. Just let it go. Disney owns a lot of intellectual property. They want to put it places because it draws people in. But I'd love it if they could bring back the edutainment. I'm hoping this Moana way of water that they're trying to do is going to be awesome with that kind of thing, incorporating the edutainment. I feel that like Finding Nemo and Sea Base Alpha, which is what I still call it, Under the Sea with Nemo and Friends, that space back there, that is still some edutainment, which I appreciate. Even with Crush, that he's trying to actually teach the kids stuff, not just going, dude. Like, it's actually pretty cool. The edutainment kind of got away from Epcot. Spaceship Earth is like one of the original remaining pieces of edutainment that they have there. I really miss Horizons. When I was a boy, that's the whole reason like I got drawn and hooked on Epcot, was because of that edutainment about look where we can go in the future. It was so cool. I really wish that edutainment would come back to Epcot, and coupled with the intellectual property. I don't want to take away the intellectual property. I'm not one of those people. I would just like to add the edutainment back in, and I'm hoping that when they finish this renovation, some of it starts coming back. I do have a request. This is probably not a little change because it's probably expensive for Disney, but could you please bring back the Star Wars Galactic Spectacular? That fireworks show at Hollywood Studios was so awesome. John Williams music set to Disney Imagineering fireworks. The perfect combination. It was so good. I actually would leave Fantasmic early to go catch that show because it was so good. Now, Michelle has asked, because she would want to see both because she loves Fantasmic and she actually really liked that fireworks show, that they move it a little bit later so you can come out of Fantasmic and then go see the fireworks. But that spectacular was just so amazing. The John Williams music paired with the amazing design from the Imagineers and the pyrotechnicians there at Disney, it gave me chills every time. It was so good. If you haven't ever seen videos of it, I'm sure there's some out there. I was not a vlogger before I saw it the last time, and I just wish they would bring it back. Just check it out. It is so cool. Okay, the next one is something that I think a lot of people are going to agree with me with. I think the park reservation system needs a major overhaul. First off, park hopping used to be awesome, where you could basically go to any park you wanted, any day, as long as they weren't at capacity, and you could jump like whenever you wanted to. Now, I get it with the 2 p.m. thing because of the boarding groups. I actually understand that. The boarding groups make it really difficult. Like if you have a whole bunch of people suddenly dump into the park right before those boarding groups change over, now you have a whole bunch more people trying to get on that ride, and you have a lot more disappointed people who come after the cast members. And be nice to your cast members. Be nice to your cast members every time. Sorry. I get on my little soapbox. But the one thing that I would talk about here is that the park reservation system, I think, would work on busy days. Like if they have days that are traditionally busy, Christmas, New Year's, Easter, Memorial Day, those days would be perfect for that. Maybe during the Magic Kingdom at the holiday time, because it gets really, really crowded there in December. Having the reservation system for certain parks when they're traditionally crowded would be helpful. I think having it all the time actually is scaring guests away. I know some people who are not planning their trips because they don't want to have those park reservations. They'd much rather be able to go, hey, where are we going today? Oh, Epcot, great, let's go. You know, I understand where they're coming from, but I also understand where Disney's coming from. Why they initiated it initially was to make sure that they kept those capacity numbers down following the closure. But I think it's past its prime. I think it's past its usefulness at this point. They are obviously letting people into the parks to fill to capacity if they wish. So I think the park reservation system I think it's done. I think it should be done. I think they should only use it on special occasions, and I think it'd make a great thing. I'm not saying allow just general park hopping. I believe that once you check into a park, you should be able to have to stay there until a certain time, and you can't hop parks or leave that park until a certain time or go to a new park until a certain time. I understand that, but you don't need a reservation system in order to do that. So, reservation system, see you bye, please. Okay, I'm gonna bring back something that I have talked about, ranted about, actually got angry about in a video. I'll talk about it in a second. That is bringing back those little free extras that they used to have. And I'm talking about the extras where you could go and get something small for free and have an awesome time checking out really cool things. The main one I'm gonna talk about is Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom, something like that. I understand that they still have small ones like the Pirate Adventure, and the DuckTales one is supposed to be in Epcot, and I don't think it's up and running yet. They're replacing that Kim Possible one, the one with Agent P. And the main thing about these free extras is that they got pulled. I don't think they got pulled for the reason that they claimed they were being pulled. I'll just be honest. I'm not going to say much else about that. I'm just going to put it that way. I think they got pulled for not the reason they claim, oh, no one's using them. I know for a fact that Sorcerer is being used. I used it a lot. I saw people were constantly playing Sorcerers. There's a different reason, and I don't want to get into it, but those little free extras that you could do, like I understand pin trading is still there, but you still have to buy a pin to trade a pin. This stuff was straight up free, and you didn't have to pay anything, and it was just, hey, check out this really cool thing that doesn't involve you getting on a ride or going into a shop. It gets you moving around the park, which probably got you into a shop to look at things or onto a ride to ride the ride. That was a really awesome thing, and that kind of went away, and I don't understand. I have this whole rant on bringing back Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom right after they pulled it out. I'll put a link to it, and I'll also put one down below. But it was such an awesome experience. I loved it. I actually, right after I finally collected all of the free cards that you could get, is when they shut it down. I literally completed my deck of all the free cards. None of the purchased cards, and then they closed it down. I was like, oh, I finally got all the cards. But anyway, that small free stuff, I think Disney really can afford that stuff. I really do. And I wish they would bring it back because it was a great way to entertain yourself even when the parks were super crowded. I think that those things, those small free extras would really just plus up your day at Magic Kingdom or anywhere really. Okay, there you have it, folks. That's our list of small, teensy-weensy changes that we believe will actually enhance the guest experience big time. Tiny changes, big effect. We really hope that you enjoyed this video. Again, if you think of something that's small change, not this needs to stop or that needs to go away. No. Small changes, tiny little changes. If you come up with something tiny that you think would just super enhance your guest experience, put in the comments down below. We'd really appreciate it. If you like this video, if you agree with a lot of the stuff we said, give it a thumbs up. And we'd really appreciate it if you'd punch that subscribe button, just because. The bell button actually is really awesome too, because it'll notify you every time I put out a new video. Usually they come out on Wednesdays. Anyway, Michelle and I don't like to say goodbye because we're going to see her real soon. So we say, see you bye.